I'm Shaharliza. I'm from Malaysian Communication and Multimedia Commission, MCMC. This is just an introduction of MCMC. We are the regulator under the Communication and Multimedia Act that supervise and control communication and multimedia activities in Malaysia. We cover telecommunications, broadcasting, postal and services, digital signature and strategic act. Okay, so just a glance of broadcasting in Malaysia. As you know that the population of Malaysia is 34.1 million with number of household 9.1 million with average household size 3.7. Okay. MCMC, we issue content application service provider license to private broadcasters for the services like terrestrial TV, satellite, IPTV, and radio. For the government TV like RTM, it's not licensed under MCMC. Currently, OTT also is not a licensable activity or services. We have MyTV as the common integrated infrastructure provider that provide digital terrestrial TV infrastructure, and we have ASRO who provide pay TV subscription via satellite. Okay, just to share on the forecast of broadcasting global market. As you can see here, media and entertainment revenue is projected to grow from 1 trillion in 2024 to 1.2 trillion by 2029. This is driven by the higher viewer acceptance of ads. Point to note that streaming users are more likely to accept ads in their streaming services if it makes it cheaper. I mean, if they have to pay lower subscription fees. All right. But as you know that because of this online platform, the new online platform, so broadcastings continue to face increasing disruption from the online platforms. Okay. The main leaders of social media, as you know, is Netflix, YouTube, and social media. So the pressure by broadcasting is due to the shift of the advertising expenditure to the giant digital platform. Because as you know, like for example, free-to-air TV, their source of revenue is from the advertisements. So now, since this shift of advertising to OTT, so it shows a decline in the revenue. Okay, MCMC, our role basically from the industry development is to basically support and facilitate the growth and sustainability of the industry. So how we engage in order for us to identify challenges from the industry. We engage, we conduct labs, sessions, and forums with not only from broadcasters, but with also media agencies, advertisers, producers, and various government agencies. So from these sessions, we identify the challenges and the issues faced. So like as you know that, because the customer preference also have shift from the viewing the traditional TV or listen to radio to the platform of OTT. So as a result, you know, the what you call it, and also the digital advertising also has basically erode the TV ADEX, and which has resulting in declining of ADEX revenue. And apart from that, also the challenges of the TV and radio industry is basically no standard currency across platform. This is referring to the audience measurement, because there are two reports. One is on the one audience measurement report on free to air, and another one on pay TV. So with that, there's create more confusions to the advertisers. And in terms of unequal playing fields, traditional versus digital platform, um, heavy regulated for traditional compared to the digital, which is light or no regulations, and as well as issues on content piracy and illegal streaming devices still persist. All right, and also for another one, no uniformity of content censorship. So from these issues and challenges, we try to see what are the potential solutions to address, and there are some initiatives that have been taken. For example, like in terms of technology, it's required for us to actually to look on future technologies. What are the emerging technologies? What are the latest technologies that can be adopted? That currently MCMC is conducting a 5G broadcast test bed to basically simulate use cases using 5G broadcasting technology. And adoption of technology and innovation, we encourage broadcasters to adopt the latest technologies, for example AI, in terms of to improve the operational efficiency, and also to enable them to have effective campaign and all that. Apart from that, we also identify that Malaysia has quite a what you call it preference, or viewers a preference on local content. So our local content need to be strengthened and to push for the international to the international level. So there's basically initiatives to facilitate Malaysian content for export, and on the restructured content framework for unified regulations, and on the audience measurement, it is our wish basically to have a unified cross-media measurement, like a single audience measurement for use to be for reference for broadcasters, for advertisers, media agencies. All right, because the benefits of this basically all parties like broadcasters will be able to know what's their viewers' preference. Advertisers will be able to use to actually see which slots the best, where to advertise, and also for media productions to be able to know what the viewers content, what are the contents that viewers prefer. All right, and last but not least, on the piracy, there's still ongoing enforcement on the digital privacy laws, and to curb ISD and piracy. Okay, just to share that because of the issues of declining of advertisements in TV, we organize one session. We call it broadcast talk series. This is our called knowledge sharing sessions, where we invited most of the speakers are from media agencies, the broadcasters, the production companies, and all that. So basically, the purpose of this session is we want to know. Basically, this session is actually focused on advertisements. We want to know what advertisers want. Means we want to know their insights and expectation, and why advertisers are migrating to digital platform. Also, we also want to know how we can create content that attract local values and also keep advertisers to spend. So, so basically, 70% of the ad spend is on digital platforms, with traditional media like TV and print decline. So from this session, the outcome that broadcasters actually have to change. Broadcasters must embrace technology and AI, and focus on the local content, impactful local content, and create significant live events to stay relevant. Broadcasters also have to think like Netflix, invest in OTT platform, offer personalized content, and also prioritize mobile. On-demand, short-form, interactive content are crucial for audience engagement. I think, as you know, that like TikTok, their content is very short, right? So these are this is the what you call it, attractive to the current viewers now. I think RTM also have adopted their news, Kanta 744, right? Where they summarize 30 minutes news into like a 15 minutes content or program. So this is one way to attract for audience. Less restrictive regulation and more self-regulation within the industry to foster creative and growth, and also investment in storytelling and script writing to actually raise content quality. Okay, so apart from knowledge sharing that we organize to identify challenges, we also collaborate with universities to conduct research to understand for example, the research that we have conducted nationwide from Sabah, Sarawak, East Coast, Northern, and we are currently doing for Southern and Central, basically to understand what users' motivation and gratification of free-to-air TV channels, because we want to know whether is TV still relevant, do people still watching TV? I know that people have been talking about digital platform and all that, whether people still view TV. So based on this outcome, basically local TV channels are still relevant. Viewership remains strong with 40% to 71% of audiences in the regions that we have conducted surveys still watch free-to-air TV. So local content plays a vital role in audience engagement and maintaining viewer loyalty. So what I'm trying to say here that there are still a group of viewers that still watch TV apart from what digital platform can offer. Okay, and I think this is just a summary of the findings from each region, but I can summarize that basically the content on the free-to-air basically is reason why they still continue watching is because of the balance of infotainment and entertainment content. Also because of one of the main reason is the reliable source of information, and of course free-to-air is a free service. Yeah. Okay. So what's next for broadcasting? I think we hear from the presentations earlier where they are promoting their solutions and all that. Actually, MCMC, we are neutral. We are not actually selecting or siding to any, but what we are looking at is how we can move forward the broadcasting industry. So 49% says AI is already have a substantial impact on their operations, because with AI you can improve your operation efficiencies, all right? And also 74% believe AI skills will be essential for future recruits, and 90% of media leaders across the global say that they want recruits who can challenge current strategies, underscore the needs for fresh approach to problem solving. All right. Okay, so this basically how AI been used in the broadcasting change, from the content creation to content aggregation, content processing, content distribution, up to content reception. So what we view that with this technology advancement and the growth in the online video market, media organization increasing adopting AI to enhance analytics, content delivery, and also customer experience. Because you have so much data, so big data, you are unable to actually do it manually. You need to use technology to do analytics, you know, to find out what your customers, viewers preference and all that, for you to be able to serve the viewers better. Okay, just sharing what's the industry have come out or adopt in terms of AI. Basically, they are for radio, they are AI DJ Aina in Fly FM, and for RTM also they have AI presenters. All right, and even I think like for Media Prima, they actually expand the AI DJ to be an ambassador in one of the brand advertisements. So basically, this is the innovations from what the broadcasters have been involved in terms of technology adoptions. Okay, so I think before the end, I just would like to wrap up or summarize that there should be ongoing innovations for broadcasters like technology firms, all right? Capitalize on the appeal of local content and live events. So this will be able to enhance audience engagement. Collaborate to establish a unified audience measurement. This is to ease advertisers in media buying. We will be able to eliminate confusion because of two or three reports for the advertisers. Collaborate in the international broadcasters and OTT platform for co-production and local content export to international markets. Enhance target advertising opportunities. This is to enable precise ads placements, and also last but not least, embrace technology and innovation. This will enable more efficient, targeted and engaging campaigns. I think that's all my presentation. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum semua and good afternoon. Macam tu speakers nak cakap rasa semangat sikit. Anyways, I know we've got our panel session selepas ni after this. So I'll try and keep it short and sweet for everyone and hopefully beneficial also for all the audiences that we have today. So taking on today's topic, but before I dive into it, let me also introduce a little bit of what we do at Dattel Asia Group. We are pretty much a data analytics and AI company focusing on consumers / citizens, media and e-commerce, right? Why this combination is important, you know, as you would know, even in the previous presentation or earlier presentation this morning, the combination of all this is what makes results happen, right? And if you just take a single view in the current day of age, it is going to be a challenge. We've got two core platforms. One is called Awesome Ads, that's more on integrating ad delivery with audience targeting capabilities. Data Hub empowers businesses to pretty much pull data from various platforms to be able to capture their first-party data. But again, that's just to give a little bit of a background and context so that you know where I'm coming from in sharing some of our thoughts this afternoon. So my premise today is simple, ladies and gentlemen, right? Puan Shah just now also mentioned about, you know, how can broadcasters move forward and so forth. You know, talking about moving into OTT platforms or any other web platforms. To me, those are pretty straightforward. I'm sure all of you guys over here have heard this many, many times internally and also externally. But the key challenge, as we talk to a lot of partners, is the constant challenge of monetization optimization. So I didn't just stop at monetization. I look from the lens of monetization optimization. Because you can have your OTT platforms or any other extensions, but if you cannot make enough revenue from those platforms itself, your upward supervisors, your upward bosses, your stakeholders are still going to come onto you. Because as like any other use cases, you know, if you're going to invest in a certain initiative, management will always ask, what is the ROI for this, right? So there is this constant challenge with regards to monetization, optimization. It is not, again, while I am framing this way, I also want everyone to take note that it is not something that can be solved immediately overnight, but it is an action that needs to be taken immediately so that as you progress, you are able to optimize the efforts that you want to do. All right? Now, I want to flash some of these numbers to just put into context and maybe some of this. So I apologize that this number is a little bit dated, but I think Puan Shah just now showed some more recent numbers. But this is just more on the ad landscape itself, and everyone here is aware of that. But what I really want to zoom down a little bit, and what most people don't realize, right, is the amount, and Puan Shah just now mentioned about the digital ad spend that people are doing right now. I know the numbers are flashing over here, but can I just get a shout? How much are Malaysians spending on social media, in particular Facebook? Not talking TikTok, not talking Google. Any shout from the floor? You can read here, but anyone shout on the floor? 2 billion ringgit that Malaysians are spending ads on Facebook. And I'm saying Facebook only, yeah? Now that's a lot of money. So a lot of people talk about, oh, a lot of revenue is being taken by digital platforms, but no one has zoomed down specifically how much has been, been milking out from the local ecosystem itself. 2 billion ringgit, ladies and gentlemen. If 2 billion, a portion of this goes to any of your organization, best or not? Tak best? Sendu, eh? Well, like the saying goes, silence means agreement lah. So I'm going to take it as that first. But this is an opportunity that I want everyone here to kind of shift their perspective. Right? What do I mean by shifting perspective? The goal here right now is how do we as an industry work together to be able to shave off a little bit from, I'm not saying to dislodge such platforms altogether, because all these things needs to still work hand in hand. But the thing is, you can dislodge some of this so that local players, local broadcasters, local digital content companies are able to leverage these too, right? The reality is this. Most of you guys who are coming from either a broadcaster or a large publishing house are probably dealing a lot with the larger brands in terms of advertising. Now, we've been talking to a lot of other fellow peers within the industry also. There is a plateau with the larger boys, right? The large brands that you all know, right, their growth of ad spend is only so much more. They cannot grow a lot. Where is the opportunity right now? Who is spending a lot of the money on Facebook, right? If I talk about 2 billion just now, this is another citation from CNN. Almost 50% of that is coming from SMEs. SMEs have a larger room for growth. Yes, we may see them as small players, but all the small players are still contributing 2 billion ringgit or a portion of the 2 billion ringgit to Facebook, right? So we've got to shift our mindset. We've got to shift our mindset in terms of how do we cater to all these other smaller players or relatively smaller players. How do we make sure that we are not killing each other but growing together, right? Which is very important, because if we take ourselves in silo, we will end up killing each other, and the winner is actually the other players outside the universe, right? Very, very important. Okay? So if I just give a snapshot here for you guys to go back and think, right? So if I talk about 2 billion ringgit just now, our quick conservative assessment is that SMEs is about 800 million ringgit. But if you ask me realistically, and this was a couple of years back, yeah, today it's probably above a billion. Even though it's shared with other platforms, I believe today it is above a billion. Right? Again, I am not saying to take away the whole billion because everyone still has a role to play. But if I take here 20%, that's 160. If it is a billion plus 20%, that's 200 over a million plus. Right? That is still, you know, a lot of room to be able to kind of push that boundaries in order for you to capitalize. Now, I'm going to tell a little bit of a story in terms of our experience with Ref Media Group. Is anyone from Media Prima here? Oh, they come tomorrow. Good. Everyone knows within Media Prima there's Ref Media Group. While this is not from a pure broadcast lens, but the key essence of what I was conveying just now remains the same. When we had a conversation with Media Prima a couple of years back, right? There is a willing and desire to look at the SME segment. But the DNA of how the internal team sells is very different. So what is needed when we present it to Media Prima is 2 key things. There needs to be a self-serving ad platform. So if you're going to compete with the giants out there that has a self-serving ad platform, then you need to have, at the very least, a self-serving ad platform also. What do I mean by self-serving ad platform? That means just like any of you guys go into Meta right now, go into TikTok right now, go into Google right now, and you can straight away buy ads and place ads, correct? That's the same process that now Ref Media is doing in order to capture MSMEs. So that they are not talking to an account manager. The other thing is, it's a psychological barrier, right? Those that's not familiar with it will not even talk to anyone. So you want SMEs who are familiar with how they operate with the global platforms to have trust to your brand and also apply the same behavioral context to you, right? So that was what we did with Ref Media Group, created a Ref Ad Manager for them, with audience analytics and so forth, because if you ask an MSME who you want to target, if I am selling hijab, I will say I want to sell to all women. The tendency of MSME is always that. But how do you guide the MSME using data to be able to target with better, greater efficiency? Because MSMEs requires better ROI, right? Now, I'm going to show you something that we've just kind of released to make it life easy also for MSMEs before running ads. This example is actually pushing out to social media, but the fundamental remains the same. So just about a minute or so on this particular video. Is the video? Okay, there. So it's called Persona GPT, and the user comes in, keys in pretty much, you know, who they want to target. The GPT tells you these are the target segments that you can, breaks down the profiling of whoever it is. And then if they want more, they can ask for more. Once they scroll, they like it. They say, save this particular personas. So these are now 6 personas for that particular business. And this is the most interesting bit, I think, for me. It gets that, you click on the link, it straight away comes out with personas for you to take action to target whether on Meta, on TikTok, or Ref Ad Manager, or Ref Media Group. Now imagine if that same capabilities, right, is your brand, your broadcasting brand, your media network, the ability to be able to push this off. This is Facebook, right? Once that integration is done, it straight away goes to Meta Ad Manager, and the user experience just follows through after that. You don't need to key in all the necessary details, but you can optimize them in order to get that going. What I'm kind of mooting to everyone here is that, while Pancha was presenting just now, you got to look forward. You got to be more than Netflix. I think you got to be better than Netflix from a very localized context. You got to be more agile than Netflix, as opposed to what is available within there right now. So I'm going to move on to the next. The key thing in terms of delivering all these things is actually leveraging first-party data, right? When I talk about leveraging first-party data, it's first-party of, touch points that's coming to your sites. Those needs to be enriched with other types of data sources that I was saying just now. But I understand, you probably hear these things also, and at the same time, it's a challenging exercise to convince upper stakeholders with regards to such an activity. The journey that we have with Media Prima is no different than that. But what we are continuously trying to improve here, while I talk about first-party data, is to simplify that process so that it is easy for any media company to get on board to this particular journey itself. For Media Prima, just from a context perspective, because they're looking at a multi-types of media inventories from multi-types of platforms, that's their roadmap journey. So for all of you guys that are here today, you may be a pure broadcaster, but it doesn't limit you from thinking beyond that. So my last parting words, like I said, I'm trying to keep it short and sweet so that we can have more conversation after this, is that if there is a collective effort, if you ask me, a collective effort among all the broadcasters to say, hey, let's gang up together so that we can strengthen the local side of things against, I'm using against from a English perspective lah, bukan nak berlawan, not that you're going on it, but to be able to kind of pull, because a single broadcaster is not enough for you to convince the market out there to swing and put money to you. But if, assuming every single one of you is a broadcaster on his own, and if you all gang up, and there's an ability to be able to articulate to everyone, to the SMEs in particular, then the confidence level gets a lot higher. It's about shared risk, but it's also about shared gain. So with that, I look forward to the following session after this. I hope I have made some sense to everyone this morning, and that everyone is quite eager to actually kind of pen down questions so that we can have a little bit more of an interaction. More importantly, at the end of the day, if you are alone in trying to compete, right, with the bigger boys, then I think we might as well not do anything at all. But if there is an intent and a desire to actually compete with the larger players out there, then I think the secret sauce is for the industry players to truly come together and do this as a collective. Because I am telling you, based on the little experience that we have with Media Prima, and right now we're with Media Chinese International Limited, it is not easy being in silo. If everyone remains in silo, then the path forward becomes a little bit more challenging than it already is. But if everyone can come together, it will still be challenging, no doubt about that. Right? Don't get me wrong. It will always still be a challenging path, but it is a challenging path where the collective comes together. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Look forward for the session later on.
Topics, like you've heard. So one will be the monetization of the content in the broadcast and in the streaming, so OTT, but also the sustainability. So just before we start, maybe a quick word about Ateme, for those who don't know. So we are one of the biggest now video compression vendor We also provide delivery since we acquired Anevia during COVID time. So now it's only one company, and we provide the full end-to-end chain from content acquisition, so live venue, till the end user, so OTT, IPTV market. About the monetization, so there are 5 use cases that we see in order to monetize your audience, the audience. I'll start by the old way. So what I call the old way will be the broadcast, because we all know that it is really a dying market today, because it's really too static, doesn't provide much flexibility, you cannot personalize anything. So what it is about, programmatic broadcast ads, HBB monetization, that used to be the old way. Yes, it worked, it still works, but it doesn't allow you to monetize as much as you want, because you cannot target each and every user in the way you would like, of course, it to be. And instead, you really want to find something that will please your user more. And this is where OTT comes from, and this is why OTT is taking over, of course, the broadcast more and more. And in this OTT segment, we will see 3 use cases or 3 ways to monetize. Again, I'll start from the bottom. So vote to live. Vote to live means also file to live. You get an offline asset. You convert it into a live asset. So basically, it's your live play out, or a fake way to create a live channel from VOD asset, but it works. Then you're going to have the OTT live regionalization, where based on the region, the kampong, whatever, you can target a specific type of content. And last but not least, OTT live, VOD, and DVR monetization, also called addressable TV. So these are really today where we see most of the value is, and reason being is because OTT is behind, right? Okay, so I'll make the analogy with, of course, the product we have. I think it's a nice way to introduce what Ateme can do as well, while introducing the technology. So we have a product in our product portfolio called NEA Composer. So NEA Composer is actually a manifest manipulator that will manipulate the manifest regardless of if it is from HLS, Dash, or CMAF, in order to integrate or insert the advertisement that you would need to have, or the VOD asset that you would like to compile or to concatenate in order to make your live stream. The first key feature of this NEA Composer is what we call the vote to live that we saw on the previous slide, which will allow you to create a live asset from VOD, live feed or live stream from VOD assets, in order to come out with either one or multiple channel for either the same or different users. And the second very important feature would be the live dynamic ad insertion, which is also referred to as SSAI, server-side insertion, as you all know it, I'm sure, where you can personalize the OTT manifest by inserting ads, which will be selected based on various different scenarios. So some could be basic programmatic, some could be auction-based, the number of impressions, some could be based on the tags that the cookies that the user will be basically feeding you with, in order to ensure that you don't shoot in the dark or you don't shoot blindly, but you really precisely or efficiently target your user to again optimize the cost and reduce reduce the cost and optimize the return on investment, or the ARPU for your end user. The key feature of NEA Composer is that we have these two components into one product. Usually it's either SSAI or vote to live, what a playout can do. There are three different ways of doing these two features that we saw. So if we take this example here behind me, everything starts from a VOD catalog, and we would have the NEA composer that could generate a live TV. That's common virtual channel for everyone. So here we have the example with 2 users. Or we could also have a common virtual channel, once again, the very same one as the first example, but here instead, for 2 distinct users, we're gonna have different advertisement, meaning we start to target the advertisement based on the behavior of the user. So this starts to get interesting because this is where you can increase your ARPU. And the very last step, I would say, in the process is the pure personalized channel, which is also called virtualized personalized channel, whereby the entirety of the channel is completely based on, or for one unique user. So we could, in NEA Composer, have as many channels as number of users. If you have 1,000 users, we can create 1,000 virtual personalized channel in order to really address the user likes, like what Netflix is doing, called Netflix Direct, if I'm not mistaken. It's purely the same use case. And behind this technology, we would also talk about FAST, right? Free advertised streaming TV. So we cover all these use cases with the NEA Composer. Now, the best way to do it, obviously, is to use server-side ad insertion versus the client side, so SSAI versus CSAI. The reason is simple. With server-side ad insertion, there is no ad block. But when it comes to client side, the player, unfortunately, is likely to block the ads, so decrease the revenue, and the monetization of the content cannot be as great as what server-side ad insertion can do. So all these components, say NEA Composer, for instance, would have to be hosted on the customer head-end data center or premise. And it doesn't rely on the player on the customer side. So that was to give you an overview of the monetization, or how to optimize the monetization on the broadcast and streaming side of the business. Now about the greener streaming or sustainability. There are also different ways of looking at it. So the first one, which is at the very top of the slide, is the codecs. Obviously, new codecs means a better video quality, improvement in the algorithm where you will lower your bitrate while maintaining the video quality. So yes, it may take more resources because the codec is more powerful, more tools are being used, so the CPU requirements are higher. But in the meantime, the streaming cost will be much lower. So you need to really look at it on a holistic view in order to end up with the sustainability in the heart of the topic. So for instance, we all know MPEG-2, MPEG-4, HEVC, AV1, which is mostly used now by YouTube, Netflix, and Ateme is deeply involved in the standardization committee of new codecs, such as the VVC, for those who are not familiar with. VVC is H.266, which is the successor of HEVC, and that also promise a bandwidth saving of up to 50% versus HEVC. Which is also already available in our product. So we can dramatically reduce the bitrate requirement per channel versus MPEG-2, MPEG-4. So that's one of the ways we can make streaming become greener. Another way is not only with new codec, but by keeping improving the existing codec. We still work on improving MPEG 2, even though it's a 20 years old codec. We still work on improving MPEG 4, HEVC, based on the feedback we get from customers, of course, it's very important for us. And because we own the codecs, we own the library in Ateme. We don't rely on any third-party product, so it's very easy for us to adjust and adapt the, let's say, issues we may face or in terms of video quality. I'll go with on the anti-clockwise now, so increased density. So thanks to all this improvement we do in the codec, there is another aspect of it, which is improving the software itself in order to become more efficient, in order to not degrade the video quality, but increase the density. Hardware-wise, we see that Intel versus AMD also has its pros and cons, by AMD becoming much, much better in terms of power efficiency. And we will also have something called the elastic CDN, audience-aware streaming. So I'll be very quick on that one. Usually when you have a CDN, you need to stream the same bandwidth to all users, regardless to the number of users watching, regardless to your audience. So here we have the example with a soccer match and a documentary consuming 4 CPU per user, and I mean per channel. But we have a patented technology where we have a loopback between our own CDN, our own analytics software, and the encoding server, where based on the number of users watching a stream, we will be able to allocate more CPU for a given channel seamlessly in real time and lower down the requirement of the channel that is not being watched much. So meaning that people care less about that. And thanks to that, we will be able to lower the requirement in terms of hardware footprint, because we will still be able to deliver the channel to more users, yet not requiring more hardware to do so. So that's something we've demonstrated in NAB, in IBC. So quite impressive or sexy feature, I would say. And just to conclude, this is also an old, old data that we've got, but which are valid, which was comparing 2018 and 2021, where with the same CPU, the same server, we were able to reduce by an average of 65% the power requirement for encoding, storage, and delivery, and satellite transmission without affecting the video quality, but simply by optimizing the way the code is written in each of our product line, which is called Titan and NEA. So Titan for the compression part, and NEA for the delivery part. Thank you.